Welcome. Let me call to order the Board of Supervisors business meeting Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, 7 p.m. at the board meeting room, 39 Bank Street, Chatham, Virginia. Ms. Caitlin, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Cheshire?
Here.
We have him participating remotely. Mr. Cheshire, can you let us know where you are calling in from?
My resident.
Thank you. Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Scarce?
Here.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Barksdale?
Yes.
Mr. Ingram?
Present.
I got you.
Thank you. If you would join with us in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And if you would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gentlemen, remove your hats.
Thank you. Are there any items to be added to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
All right,
there is.
Mr. Dalton.
Under the matters from the work session, I'd like to add the reassessment resolution number 2022-03-03, the Risco Energy Agreement, the Healthcare LPA, Rage Plastics Transformer, the FY23 School Board Budget Public Hearing Authorization, and the Y23 County Budget Public Hearing Authorization.
All right. Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Dalton's motion. What about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. Any discussion? All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote verbally, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Looks like we're missing one.
That would be Tim.
Yep, I'll fix that in the minutes.
Okay, got you. All right, thank you. Have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. What about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Barksdale. Any discussion on that? Thank you. Cast your votes.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote verbally?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mr. Barksdale needs to go ahead and hit his. And
Just a second. Okay, motion passed on that. Item number 7, consent agenda. Have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. You weren't kidding, were you?
No, sir.
What about a second?
Second.
I think Mr. Dudley got you, Mr. Barksdale. Any discussion on that? All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty, item 8, presentations. We have several, as a matter of fact. How you want to do that?
We
Or
will
better yet,
do
who's up first?
Kathleen Drake McGarvey first.
Okay. All right. I would say we have that in Westover and a couple other resolutions we can do up here. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, why don't y'all come down front and
Yeah,
present
let's
these
go.
things?
I would like to invite Miss Kathleen Drake McGarvey to come forward, please. And after we do the presentation, you can have your support staff come down. We'll get a big group picture, okay? I'm honored to present this to you because if you go through the woods, I'm about a quarter mile or less from Stony Mill School. Can you hear this okay? And my children went to Stony Mill, so I'm sort of partial. It's an honor to present to you this resolution number 2022-03-01, honoring Kathleen Drake McGarvey for the Presidential Award. Virginia, at the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors Board Business Meeting on March 15, 2022, the following resolution was presented and adopted. Whereas, there's a whole lot of those, Kathleen Drake McGarvey, a fifth grade science teacher at Stony Mill Elementary in Pittsylvania County, was recognized by the White House and the National Science Foundation with the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. And whereas Drake McGarvey received the Presidential Award for K-6 Science, and whereas this award was regarded as the nation's top honor for mathematics and science teachers, recognizes teachers who develop and implement high-quality instructional programs that improve student learning, and whereas Drake McGarvey has been an educator for more than 23 years, with the last 11 at Stony Mill, and whereas as a past science liaison, she delivers department communication and mentors other science teachers, in addition to teaching 4 science classes each day, and whereas Drake McGarvey works to advance computer science concepts and engineering mindset in her classroom by providing students with opportunities to problem solve. Students also practice citizen science by monitoring a trail of bluebird nests, boxes by recycled paper, plastic, and composting plant waste throughout the year. And whereas she has served as a summer session Piedmont Regional Governor School instructor for children's engineering and worked on the Virginia School University Partnership to develop grade test bank items and performance task bank items. And whereas Drake McGarvey earned a BA in elementary education from SUNY College at Old Westbury in New York, she is also certified in pre-kindergarten through 3rd grade early primary education and 3rd through 6th, 96th grade elementary. Finally, she is currently taking teacher leadership classes through James Madison University. Be it resolved that the board does hereby express its deepest congratulations and admiration to Drake McGarvey for her accomplishments and wish her the very best in future endeavor. Given under my hand this 15th day of March, 2022, William B. Ingram, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, and Mr. Clarence Mundy, County Administrator. Thank you. Hey, y'all, this is when y'all come on down. You don't have to show me them whereas you get worn out. Hey, thank y'all for coming.
Come on down, guys. Westover Christian Academy. This is one of the more funner things we get to do, recognize our youths. And these guys won the state championship, Westover Christian Academy. Les Adams wanted me to say congratulations. I don't know if you remember him, but you guys have retired his jersey number 25 about 50 years ago, something like that. So I'll go ahead and read this thing. Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors, resolution number 2022-03-02, honoring Westover Christian Academy's boys basketball state championship. Where Virginia is the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors business meeting on March 15, 2022, the following resolution was presented and adopted. Whereas the Westover Christian Academy Bulldogs boys varsity basketball team won the Virginia Association of Christian Athletics state championship for the first time in the school history on Saturday, February 26, 2020. And whereas that 77-67 victory over Grace Christian School comes after losing in the state title match the past 2 years and capping a regular season winning streak since December. And whereas Westover trailed by 1 point with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter and suddenly scored a quick 6 points to take a 5-point lead going into the half. And whereas the Bulldogs exploded for 44 points in the second half, and Westover Christian Academy pulled off the win by 10 points. And whereas, these are a lot of words, sorry, Josh Lewis had 12 of the 36 points in the final quarter and was named MVP of the tournament. And whereas Noah Burton was named the all-tournament team with 13 points, connecting on three-pointers. And whereas Isaac Von Ime had 13 points as he pushed the tempo of the offense. Aaron Salmon had 9 points. Tyler Hughes, Dallas Wheeler, and Neil Talbot chipped in 2 points. And Luke Barber provided some excellent defense. And whereas Lewis was named All-State First Team, South Region MVP, Burton South Region Second Team, and Von Ime was named Second Team All-District. And whereas Westover Christian Academy finished the season 20-4 on a 15-game winning streak, and they have not lost since December. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board does hereby express the deepest congratulations and admiration to the Westover Christian Academy Bulldogs for their 2022 state championship win. Given under my hand this 15th day of March 2022, William Ingram, Ronald Scares, and Clarence Money.
Yes, definitely. I'd just like to say thank you for recognizing this. The kids put a lot of hard work in, a lot of faith and prayer went into this season, and our coaching staff, this is my assistant, Torrey Patterson. He came on board with us this year and did a great job, and all the kids worked so hard, and we felt like the community was really supporting us a whole lot, and so we really appreciate this honor. It's a high honor for us. Thank you. This is Josh Lewis, and you can give him a hand. And this is my son, Luke Barber, and you give him a hand too. All the rest of the guys are playing baseball tonight, so they couldn't come, but they would have enjoyed being here, I'm sure. So.
Thank you guys for coming out.
She wants one more.
Huh?
This your phone? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, is Marilyn Waller here, please, or a representative of Marilyn Waller?
Anything else we can go? Is there something else?
Yeah, you did. Siri.
It's hot enough in there.
Okay, that brings us down to the hearing of the citizens. Each person addressing the board under hearing of the citizens shall be a resident or landowner of the county.
Mr.
or-
Chairman,
I'm
we
sorry.
have one more presentation.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
I didn't know.
It's item 8B.
Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, who has that?
Mr. Monday is going to
Okay,
introduce.
Mr. Monday, you want us back down there?
Yeah, sure. Mr. Chairman
Okay.
and members of the board, you have two guests here with you this evening that will
Okay.
give you a regional tourism update. It's a partnership between Danville and Pittsylvania County. And working their way to the podium, we have Corey Beauvais. She's the
Beauvais.
Director of Economic Development. And also with the City of Danville Economic Development and Tourism Department, Lisa Merriweather. Thank you for being with us.
I apologize. When you get old, my eyes sort of crossed and I skipped that line, and I do apologize. But anyway, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Very nice to see you too. Thank you all for letting us come tonight and share with you an update regarding our regional tourism efforts. As a reminder, last year you graciously bestowed upon us the opportunity to represent Pittsylvania County as its designated marketing organization. Over the past year, we've put together the structure to fund and operate a new tourism program, and we're thrilled to have on board Lisa Merriweather as our first official tourism manager. And so as you can see, just to meet the team, the last time I presented to you, which was, I believe, October of last year, we had 2 blank circles within our office, and they have been filled with a new assistant director, Barbara Fedor, which I'm sure you all will get to know over the coming months, and then, of course, Lisa. So I'll turn it over to Lisa to provide you with what she has been doing in establishing this new program since she started with the office in November of last year. But to begin with, she'll provide a brief background of her experiences within tourism.
Okay, thank you, Corey. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Good to have you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I must tell you, it's a little intimidating coming behind a presidential award winner and state champion.
Yeah.
So I will do my best.
There you go.
How about that? Once again, Lisa Merriweather. I have been in the hospitality and tourism and sales industry for about 35 years, actually 37, but who's counting? I come to the city of Danville in November, as Corey had mentioned, November 1, to take the role as tourism manager to be able to build out a program that would incorporate all of our tourism assets in the city of Danville as well as Pittsylvania County. So when you meet me on the street, I will be very pleased to say to you that I am representing not only the city, but Pittsylvania County. And Kevin has assured me that this clicker will work. So, Kevin, right? Let's get started. Kevin?
There we go.
Kevin? Kevin, you promised me. There you go, Kevin. Okay, great. So one of the things, it's been a busy 4.5 months. One of the things that I set about immediately was getting out to meet the community. And I, too, my eyesight is not what it used to be, although these screens are very large. I'm going to roll with a little bit of memory here. I have been busy doing the presentation speaking circuit, obviously to the local clubs. I will be presenting to the Dan River Regional Association of Realtors, the Rotary Clubs, the Danville Development Council. I have spent a great amount of time at the Danville Museum of Fine Arts and History, and I don't know if you've been following, but we have in the Danville Museum was just a designated U.S. Civil Rights Trail appointee, one of 3 locations in the state of Virginia out of 140 locations in 14 states. So that was part of our program to be sure that that took place. I'm also pleased to mention the Old Dominion Agricultural Complex, and I don't know if John is here today because I apologize that y'all are looking at the back of my head. But John and I have been talking at great length about what it looks like to be able to rise the tide in promotion of the more than 150 events that take place at the Old Dominion Agricultural Complex. It is an unbelievable tourism gem for our community. And as we all know, that tourists don't recognize city and county borders. A lot of the visitors that attend these events are coming from out of state. It is just a gem. So we're working very hard to make sure that there's some additional promotions for these events to drive tourism. Most recently, we were talking, actually just this afternoon, about what that might look like. So stay tuned for additional information from John and his team at the complex. I have also met with your representative here from the Pittsylvania Historical Society, and we are talking about doing some regional programs as it relates to local historical markers. Stay tuned for more on that. River District, of course, in the city of Danville. Obviously, we have partnered with them on a lot of downtown initiatives. And of course, how could we leave out Averett University and sports? One of the first representatives that I met with at Averett was Meg, Director of Athletics, on how we can rise the tide in their sports tourism program. So we are working on a strategic plan to bring about a cohesive strategy to be able to promote to events rights holders all of our athletic facilities, not just in and around the city of Lynchburg. I'm so sorry, did I just say Lynchburg? Sorry about that. Danville. But in Pennsylvania County as well. We've also been out at Virginia International Raceway, met with Connie and her team there. I had an extensive marketing meeting with Mike Rose, who handles all of their promotions for the raceway, about what it would look like to be able to partner on that as well. Oh, Kevin, it worked. Look at that. Danville Autobots, what an exciting location, what an exciting group. We're talking to them about how we would be able to use those existing facilities for our sports tourism program as well. Of course, I have been to the Institute of Advanced Learning. If you haven't been to the facility lately, obviously that is beautiful space, and we have begun to market that space to meeting planners across the state. More on that in just a few minutes as we talk a little bit about professional associations that we have joined and are now promoting. Preservation Virginia, if you've met with and ever spent any time with Sandra Ingram, you know that she has a passion for preserving all that is in the state of Virginia. We are working on several projects right now, one of which is a multi-partner grant with the Virginia Tourism Corporation to be able to put together some video tours, not just in Danville, but in Pittsylvania County as well. We are talking about a barn flag project or quilt project, all things to do in the county. Very exciting. The Tank Museum, I don't know how many of you have ever been to the AFF Tank Museum, but it is absolutely a jewel in their crown in their community. We're working with them as well as representatives with the Virginia Tourism Corporation to be able to market that museum to a lot of their meeting planners within the government market, with reunion planners, and it's drawing a lot of attention. Some of the other businesses that I've had an opportunity to meet just in the last couple, 2 or 3 months is listed there, and I won't necessarily go through all of those, but that list is certainly growing by the day. Getting started, Katie Saunders. Katie, are you here today? So Katie represents Pittsylvania County, as you well know. Katie has been appointed to the Tourism Steering Committee. I will be working closely with Katie to understand the assets in and around Pittsylvania County. And as we begin to work on and build out our tourism strategic plan for both locales, Katie will be very instrumental in being able to help to assist and guide in that process. So very excited to be working with Katie. Katie was also invited to attend the Virginia Tourism Corporation's Visitor Center Seminar and Study Tour that actually is going to be taking place in Halifax, South Boston, in a few weeks. So very excited to be able to partner with her on that. Simple View, one of the first tools that we will be implementing is a very robust Destination Marketing Organization CRM. This tool is unlike anything that has been introduced to the market before to be able to manage contracts and sales leads to hotels and to attractions, track visitation at our visitor center, welcome center, to be able to understand where our visitors are coming from, why they're coming into our community, and how we can get them to stay longer and spend more money, because that's what it's all about, outside of having a great fun time, right? We are also going to be contracting with SimpleView for our content management system, our CMS, which is a website-based tool that will directly link to Virginia Tourism Corporation. And I bulleted here one of the key things that I want to make sure you understand is this will include a very robust regional calendar of event. One of the goals of this content management system is to be able to have a regional content calendar where anyone can be led to and find out what's going on in the community. John will be able to list his 150 plus events from the agricultural complex. We'll be able to have events throughout town, and people can go there and find it with ease. Huddle Up Group, Inc. is a very specific organization, and all they deal with is sports strategic plans. We have had a presentation with John Schmieder and his group, and that included representatives from Pittsylvania County, as well as our sports venues in and around the region, to pull together and come together to build this plan. More on that later. As I am looking for. The most important thing I think to note is that we will be contracting with a consulting firm hopefully in the next few days as I cut my eyes over at Corey. And this consultant is going to lead us through the entire plan, the building out of the sports plan, the building out of the marketing, the building out of what that new brand is going to look like for the city of Danville and Pittsylvania County for tourism. So more on that later. Photography and video library. We recognized pretty quickly that we are deficient with beautiful imagery that portrays all the great things there are to see and do in and around our city and county. So we are going to be working with Virginia Tourism Corporation to make sure that we have the right photographers, the right videographers that are very specialized in capturing certain images that we need to showcase the best that we have to offer to our visitors. We will also be working on 2 very comprehensive maps, and I know when you think about map, how difficult is a map? It's a challenging prospect. So these maps will be used not only at our Welcome Center, but they will be used at all local businesses, but we will showcase the city of Danville in one, the Pittsylvania County, and the surrounding locales, Hurt, Chatham, and Gretna. So stay tuned for more on that as well. So professional organizations I mentioned as I was getting started that we have already paid and begun to start working with, and I don't need to read this list, but a couple that I will highlight: the Virginia Society of Association Executives and the Association Executives of North Carolina. These are professional organizations, and their members are made up of meeting planners and event planners that are looking for event space. And I don't know if y'all knew, but we do have a resort that's going to be coming into the city of Danville, and the Pittsylvania County area will be impacted by that. We have already begun to market our resources to these event planners through these memberships, and we have already begun to, I'm hoping that's not my phone, I'm so sorry. We have already begun to send out receive requests for proposals for space. And we are getting positive responses, and I know all of you know that a lot of that space, we're talking late 2023, but it has already begun. A couple of the others that we are working with, Destinations International, which coordinates an economic impact calculator, and I cannot stress enough the importance of this tool. About a decade ago, Destinations International engaged a lot of first-tier cities to put together research to understand more fully how to estimate economic impact on events, festivals, sporting events that come into your community. An event economic impact looks a little different than it would in Richmond as opposed to in San Diego. It is a very complex tool. I'm pleased to say that this is a tool that we have purchased and will begin to use right away. Once again, back to my conversation with John at the Ag Center today. We will be able to take a look at each event. We will be able to understand where the visitors are coming from, how much they're spending, and what that looks like and means to our communities with a direct, indirect economic impact number. So I'm going to be real pleased to share that that tool with you soon. So, real quick, while we are waiting for our consultant to guide us through our new branding process, that didn't slow us down. We have immediately begun to market our resources. This is going to be, I'm going to click through a few slides very quickly. This is an example of some of the ads that we have recently produced. We're going to be in the 4th Annual Virginia Tour Guide. This is for motor coach operators and tours that are looking for history. And this is all about our designation to the U.S. Civil Rights Trail. Virginia Living Magazine, I don't know how many of you subscribe to this magazine. It's one of my favorites. We are going to be in very special, specific Virginia sections. Here you'll see an ad that just was released announcing our River District as a semi-finalist in their category for their Main Street. So you'll see that we will partner with others on some of the advertising that we're doing just for a larger reach. Whoops. Kevin, what have I done here? Blue Ridge Outdoors? Great, Blue Ridge Outdoors. I'm excited to talk about the Blue Ridge Outdoors ad that we ran. We had a travel writer also come in and do a like-size page editorial that lists a lot of the resources in and around our community. Great. Are you clicking or am I clicking, Kevin? Got it. Is that it? That's it. I am ready to entertain some questions. Gentlemen, I have been at this now for about 4 months. There's a lot of work to do. A lot of the work that I've been working on now is making sure that we understand it and are able to contract the right partners to make sure that we get the proper results. It's like I keep telling Corey, we have to get this right, and we have to get it right out of the gate. So that's the work that I'm doing, and I am more than happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Corey, thank you. Y'all come back anytime. Now we're down to the hearing of the citizens, I take it.
Yes, sir.
Each person addressing the board under hearing of the citizens shall be a resident or landowner of the county or the registered agent of such resident or landowner. Each person shall step up, give his or her name and district in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless further time is granted by the chairman, shall limit his or her address to 3 minutes. No person shall be permitted to address the board more than once during hearing of the citizens. All remarks shall be addressed to the board as a body and not to any individual member thereof. Hearing of the citizens shall last for a maximum of 45 minutes. Any individual that is signed up to speak during the said section who does not get the opportunity to do so because of the aforementioned time limit shall be given speaking priority at the next board meeting. Absent chairman's approval, no person shall be able to speak who is not signed up. Caitlin, who do we have signed up?
All right, Jim Scares.
Come on up here, Mr. Scares. And listen, in all fairness, I think we have more than one speaker.
We do.
And I'm not going to strap you to 3 minutes because one asked for 4 to 5, so you take your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Jim Scares, and I live in the Westover District. I'm here tonight to thank the leadership of this board for costing us, as Delegate Danny Marshall described it, the largest economic development project in the world. The project was slated to be announced in mid-January. On January 4th, when you usurped control of this board, your first move was to publicly fire and humiliate the county administrator, David Smitherman, who had been working on that economic project. Again, I quote your words when you said, firing Mr. Smitherman was not a big deal and he was not a game changer. Then on January 21st, due to your incompetence and short-sightedness, the company Mr. Smitherman had been negotiating with announced that they would be taking their $20 billion project to the state of Ohio. If you had just waited 1 month to fire Mr. Smitherman, there's no telling what would have happened. How would a $20 billion industrial project have changed the economic outlook of this county? Thanks to your leadership, I guess we'll never know. For the first 2 years of his service, one of the supervisors on this board refused to work with the other board members, but instead spent his time trying to undermine their work through letters to the editor and interviews with the news media with half-truths and misinformation. He also spread lies and misinformation about Mr. Smitherman to try and tarnish his reputation. Now that he is in control of this board, he has on numerous occasions stated that the 3 senior board members need to set aside their differences and come together and hold hands and all sing Kumbaya for the betterment of the county. but as of to date, he has yet to personally reach out to those 3 board members for their advice or help in any of his actions thus far. He did approach the pastor of one of those board members, though, with misinformation about him in an attempt to persuade the pastor to convince the board member to step in line and stop reporting to his constituents the truth about what is now going on with the new leadership of this board. What kind of person does that, I ask? In Deuteronomy 5, Moses gave the children of Israel the 10 commandments. The 9th commandment states, "You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor." But I guess the leadership of this board has never read Deuteronomy. Lastly, I would like to point out that Pittsylvania County is the largest county in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and last year had an operating budget of over $200 million. When Mr. Smitherman was first hired, the county received 30 applications from all over the country. Mr. Smitherman was deemed to be the most qualified with 2 graduate degrees, one in public administration and the other in business administration, as well as multiple years of experience. Now that the county is in search of a new administrator, the leadership of this board has placed an ad in the Chatham Star-Tribune, and that ad states, and I quote, "Prior experience in county management is not required," end quote. So the leadership of this board is willing to entertain hiring someone to manage the largest county in the Commonwealth with an operating budget of over $200 million that has no management experience. All I can say is that's sheer insanity. And I have to ask if the HR department was consulted before putting this ad in the paper, or if this was the brainchild of Chairman Vic Ingram to hire someone with little to no experience who would be easy to control and manipulate. Gentlemen, I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Scarce. Who's next?
Barbara Hancock.
Ms. Hancock, welcome.
My name is Barbara Hancock, and I live in the Callens-Gretna District. I'm going to speak regarding the protection of the health and well-being of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. The first topic that I want to cover is water quality. Some citizens receive their water through the Water Authority, and that water has been treated with various chemicals that are known carcinogens and neurotoxins, frequently including fluoride, which causes many kinds of learning issues, dementia, and neurological issues that impact the mental health of the exposed individual. Others have well water that has been contaminated by certain kinds of fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides that have been sprayed and used throughout the years by various individuals and companies, including VDOT and some power providers, which are beyond our control as citizens. The usage of these chemicals has the potential to go deep into the ground and therefore contaminating the ground and water table. Of course, each individual family can purchase certain kinds of water filters that remove most of these chemicals and heavy metals, but many families cannot afford that. Therefore, I propose that Pittsylvania County provide a water filtering system to include fluoride filters for every home in Pittsylvania County. The second topic that I want to cover is smart meters. Many citizens have become aware of the dangers associated with the radiation from the smart meters that are attached to our homes, and we have valid concern. Many individuals have been experiencing an increase in certain health issues ever since installation of these meters, including but not limited to ringing in the ears, extreme fatigue, heart palpitations, blood pressure issues, headaches, migraines, and cancer. I propose that each citizen, regardless of what electrical company they are with, have reasonable cost options to go back to analog meters without having to provide a reason as they become aware of this situation. I ask you all as leaders in our county to stand for the safety and the protection of our citizens. Many of our citizens do not know that these two issues could potentially be the cause of their health problems. As a healthcare professional, I'm here to raise that awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Ms. Caitlin, who's next?
Willie Fitzgerald.
Come on up, Mr. Fitzgerald. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see each and every one of you all. Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Good evening, sir.
other board members. I'm Willie Fitzgerald, and I live in the Bannister District. And I'm here this evening to address this reassessment project that's going on in this county. And I heard something about it on your agenda, but I don't know where you are on it. But I want to speak to you all because I have been approached by several people in this community, in this county, about the reassessment. And I want to use 3 of them as examples. One of them was a senior citizen who, I don't know how many of y'all know anything about sharecropping, but they were sharecroppers. And they managed to eventually build them a home. And now, in the last 2 years, that home was assessed at $38,000. They went up to $72,000 on these senior citizens way up in the age. And that equates to about $221.34 increase based on the current tax rate. With the inflation like it is and everything else going on in this county and in the state, how are they going to be able to survive off of small, less than $1,000 monthly on Social Security? It's tough. Next, I want to speak to another one where their taxes went up. Assessment went from $132,000 to $202,000, which meant about a $1,314.90 increase in the tax value. And I'm hearing the same complaint all over the county from different peoples. And the sad part about it is, so many of us, and I don't mean minorities, I talk to black and white people, and they don't even understand how to read this paper. They don't know what it means. All they rely on is your supervisor giving them a fair tax price at the end of when you have to do your taxing. And you'd be surprised. I've even talked to school teachers, don't even know how to understand and read this paperwork. I talked to people that said, look, we just got it, we put it aside, and we rely on our tax bill when it comes due, and expect it to be fair. Another young lady, a couple sent me their information over the cell phone. And their taxes went from, let me make sure I pull it up right. This was in a good community, if you want to call it that. Their house was priced at $404,000 in the past. Went to $7,160, which meant a tax increase of $1,882.94. When they went to Bright Mind to discuss it, Bright Mind told them, oh, we see the mistake. Your house was 3,000 square feet, and we did it at 7,000 square feet. So many in this county not even looking at this information. So I am asking this board this evening to consider going back to the last tax assessment, and if you need to raise across the board 10%, do that to every landowner in this county, and then do your tax rate based on that information would be my recommendation. But please, do not leave it as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Ms. Caroline, anyone else?
Gene Evans.
Who is that now? Good evening, sir. Come on up.
Good evening. I am Rural Gene Evans. I live in the Westover District. My wife and I are 74 years old and retired, living on Social Security and $500 a month from a 401k. We own 25 acres of planted pines that will not be harvestable for another 20 years. We also own 100 acres of hardwood cutover that was not replanted. It was allowed to grow back in natural hardwood, which will not be harvestable for at least another 50 years. All of this acreage is non-farm land, but because it's in timber, it qualifies for the land use program. I have a certified Virginia forestry plan, and even at a 50% tax rate, the taxes are burdensome, for the land generates no income until it is sold or the timber is cut. I think this land should be tax exempt until it generates an income. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Caitlin, anyone else?
That's all.
That's all. Okay, thank you. Tim changed numbers on the call-in, so you got that? Come on, Josh, if you need to take care of that. While he's taking care of a technical problem, this is closing the hearings of the citizens. Up next is public hearings. Pursuant to Article 5, Division 6 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, the Board of Supervisors has been empowered to hear and decide specific zoning issues and zoning map changes in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, the board is responsible for promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. The board must ensure that all of its decisions and regulations be directed at those goals, and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its prosperity. So case number one, which would be case R22-004, John David and Audrey Moss. Ms. Ragsdale, please. I open that public hearing at 7:46.
Case R-22-004, John David and Audrey Moss have petitioned to rezone 34.25 acres located on State Road 311 Berry Hill Road in the Westover Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for agricultural uses on the property. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. On January 4th, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended by an 8-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Ms. Audrey Moss is here to represent the petition.
All right, Ms. Moss, would you like to come up and speak? Good to see you.
First, I'd like to thank y'all for your time to hear my request. I'm Audrey Moss. I'm from the Westover District. I would like to rezone my property at Berry Hill to agricultural from residential. A couple of months ago, I went over to the county to get a permit to put in a driveway, and they said I could not do that because it was zoned residential and I did not have a home on this property. So I would like to put this driveway in. And also, I have cropland there. I have a letter that says I have 18.4 acres of cropland, and I have a farm number. And I thought I had a farm, but I would like to plant some crops there. I've contacted two of my neighbors, Doctors Frank and Dugan Maddox, beside of me, and they said they had no opposition, and I think Frank wrote a letter for me to the Planning Commission. Then I contacted Sammy and Frida Moore, who's on the right-hand side of me, and they said they had no opposition to me being rezoned agricultural and putting some crops in and a driveway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moss. Anyone else signed up to speak?
No, sir.
All right, that'll close the public hearing at 7:48. What's the pleasure of the board, Mr. Scarce?
Mr. Chairman, in case R-22-004, I make a motion to approve the rezoning of 34.25 acres from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow the property to be used for agricultural purposes. The rezoning would be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mr. Scarce. What about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Any discussion? All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that was approved. Ms. Moss, your land has been rezoned. Thank you for coming. You take care now. Case number 2, Ms. Ragsdale. Open the public hearing at 7:49.
Case R-22-005, Miriam Sanchez and Alexis Diaz have petitioned to rezone 1.95 acres located on Renan Road in the Stanton River Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for the placement of a second dwelling on the property. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. On January 4th, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended by an 8-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Ms. Sanchez is here to represent the petition.
Okay, would y'all like to come up and speak? Please, you'd like to speak? You good?
Not really.
Okay, Mr. Dudley, it's all yours.
Yes, sir. You gonna close the public hearing?
Yeah, we'll close it at 7:50. Fire away.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. and Ms. Sanchez, for being here. Appreciate you coming tonight. In this case, with no opposition through the Planning Commission, my motion in case R-22-005, I make the motion to approve the rezoning 1.95 acres from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for a second dwelling to be placed on the property. The rezoning would be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. What about a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a good sound to hear.
Okay, your land has been rezoned. Thank you for coming. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, Mr. Ragsdale, case number 3. Open public hearing at 7:51.
Case R-22-006, Horace Gwill has petitioned to rezone 0.997 acres located on Riceville Road in the Bannister Election District from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to consolidate with adjacent property zoned R1. Once the property is rezoned to R1, all uses listed under Section 35-222 are permitted. On January 4th, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended by an 8-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Horace Gwill is here to represent the petition.
All right, Mr. Will, would you like to come up and speak, sir? No, sir. Okay, thank you. Let me find this on my screen. I'm going to read this. And I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:52, please.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm going to
would you like
make the
me
motion.
that
Excuse me, sir.
Would you like for me to make that motion?
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the change for the Horace Gill as presented by staff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mine wasn't coming up. Thank you,
that's
sir.
okay.
What about
I'll second that vote.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. Any
Yes,
discussion
indeed.
on that? Okay, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, sir, your property has been rezoned. Thank you for coming. All right. Other public hearings. Each person addressing the board under a public hearing shall step up, give his or her name and district, and his or her place of residence for non-county citizens in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless further time is granted by the chairman, shall limit his or her address to 3 minutes. Speakers for a group shall be limited to 10 minutes. Speakers shall conclude their remarks at that time unless the consent of the board is affirmatively given to extend the speaker's allotted time. Absent chairman's approval, no person shall be able to speak who is not signed up. So, opening up public hearing on PCC Chapter 18 Subdivision Ordinance, Sections 18 through 29. Ms. Ragsdale. And open that at 7:54.
Mr. Chairman, Chapter 18 of the Pittsylvania County Code is known as the Subdivision Ordinance, and that governs how properties can be subdivided throughout the county. It also governs what's required on those plats and who approves those plats. Staff is proposing that the changes included in your packet shown on the red line version are included in that ordinance, requiring 2 coordinate points to be on all plats that are recorded for subdivisions. And what this does is anytime a plat is recorded, GIS staff has to go in and make changes in our GIS system to show those changes, reflect those changes on that newly recorded plat. So these 2 coordinates would create a more efficient, more effective way for staff to be able to make those changes in our system. So staff is proposing that you do adopt those changes as presented.
Okay, thank you. Has anyone signed up to speak on this?
No, sir.
All righty. Having said that, I close the public hearing at 7:55 p.m. Do I have a motion, gentlemen?
So moved, Mr. Chairman, that we make the changes.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. What about a second?
Second.
Mr. Barksdale, thank you, sir. All right, gentlemen, cast your vote if there's no comments or questions.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Second. Just hit it, yeah. Okay, that was approved, 7-0. Public hearing, PC Chapter 2, Animals and Fowl. This is 2.19. Mr. Slimp, is he here?
He's not here. I'll handle this for him.
Okay.
Our local code under Chapter 2, we have a section about dangerous dogs. And recently, the state code was amended that changed some definition of dogs and changed the criteria for when a dog can be deemed dangerous. In your packet and advertised is a red line version that just changes our local code to match the newly changed Virginia code. You can see that the additions are in yellow and the strikeouts have a line through them. So based on Animal Control's recommendation, following the conducting of the legally required public hearing, county staff recommends that you approve the revisions to Pittsylvania County Code Section 2-19 as attached in the agenda packet.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. So I open the public hearing at 7:57 p.m. Anyone sign up to speak?
No, sir.
All right, I'm going to close at 7:57 p.m. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion we approve the changes to coincide with the state ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Mr. Barksdale, you going to second?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty, that brings us down to unfinished business. Is there any?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. New business. Appointments for the Fire and Rescue Commission. So each one of you have been given a packet on that and been given time to submit a name for the Fire and Rescue Commission makeup. So what's the motion of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I have got the forms and I have not nailed down one, but I think I'm the only one.
That's
And
okay.
I did check and I got 30 days, so.
You do, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That'd be fine.
I just wanted to let you know.
Will you make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Good. What about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Any discussion?
A second.
Okay, no, he got it. Yeah. All right, we're good to vote. All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Yeah, but I ain't got nothing in front of me to vote. I got the
And
one.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, Mr. Scarce, when he got to the meeting, he said that Tim Cassell was going to serve for his district. We didn't have that included in the packet, but I just wanted to be sure everybody knew that.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Scarce? Okay, okay.
And we also have Mr. Cheshire's nomination that I have for
Which
you
is
all.
Jimmy Hawley. That was given out. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So just to add what you already have, you have Mr. Cheshire recommended Jimmy Hawley and Mr. Scarce recommending Tim Cassell. Okay.
I make a motion to amend the prior motion to include Mr. Cheshire's recommendation of Mr. Holly and Mr. Cassell by Mr. Scares.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Clean it up.
That's good. What about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Any discussion? Okay, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Up next is matters from the work session, if any.
We have a whole buffet of them.
No?
Should be in front of him. Do you have him in front of him?
Does he have?
Yeah, Mr. Barton.
Yeah, we're going to do it now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Mr. Willie Fitzgerald to be the DPCS Board to fill an unexpired term beginning on March 15, 2022, and ending on June 30, 2022.
All right, thank you, sir. Do we need
Mr. Chairman, that was already approved on the consent agenda, but Mr. Barksdale, we'll note your appointment, and that's already been taken care of.
And I just need his vote for the Fire and Rescue
It's fire
Commission
and
appointment.
He needs to
If
close
he
that
will-
out so we can move on to matters from work session.
All right, yes. Well, I think everybody's voted, right?
I don't have his recorded. Is it on his screen where he can push that?
You talking about who?
All right,
Yes.
I'm gonna close that,
Yeah.
and I'll
it and see
change
how it
that in
come
a
out.
minute.
It's just not acting right tonight.
Okay, we're good.
Yep. All right, any other matters from work session?
Don't we have some?
I was thinking we had.
Yes, we do have
We got a
Yeah.
plenty, yeah.
6 items from the work session.
Do I need to read them again?
Does he?
I added,
One at a time.
I can walk you through them.
okay, one at a
All right,
time?
so,
Okay.
yep, we're at item 13A, which is the reassessment resolution number 2022-03-03.
All right, do we have a second on that?
Yes, second.
Okay.
I have a
Need to clean it up.
comment about that.
Yes, sir.
I just think for the public's information,
They need
we
to know.
we probably need to let them know, because we didn't verbally say it, because, staff didn't really report on it. We're going back to 2018 assessments, and that will be what everything will be predicated on, and any additional information about future assessments and how we're going to correct all the problems will be forthcoming. But for this current tax year that is coming, this resolution reads that they will be predicated on the 2018
That's correct.
assessment numbers.
Mr. Chairman, I've actually, my copy's with Ms. McCluster, but I think it would be helpful. It's in that folder. It's a brief resolution. If you would just read that so that everybody
Let me read it.
knows what's happening tonight.
Do you have a copy?
I gave mine, it's in that folder. If not, I can pull one up.
Got a copy.
The signed folder.
Somebody just read it.
Somebody needs to just read that so everybody knows what's going
All
on.
right, I got the resolution in front of me. Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors Resolution Number 2022-03-03. Virginia, at the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors Board regular meeting held on March 15, 2022. The following amended resolution was presented and adopted. Whereas Pittsylvania County, Virginia County conducts its general real estate assessment every 4 years. And whereas, following a legal conducted procurement process, Bright Minds LLC, a licensed real estate appraiser, was selected to conduct the county's 2022 general tax assessment. And whereas, significant concerns have emerged regarding the assessment's statutory reassessment compliance, data integrity, and uniform/equitable application of values. Now, Therefore, be it hereby resolved that the board, for the foregoing reason, inter alia, directs the following. Number one, the 2022 reassessment data is invalidated. Number two, County Commissioner Revenue is directed to reinstate and certify the county's 2021 real estate tax values for county real estate. Number three, the county's finance director is directed to utilize the county's 2021 real estate tax values for fiscal year 23 county budget purposes. And number four, county staff is directed to issue a RFP for a new general county tax assessment for values to be effective January 1st, 2024. Given under my hand this 15th day of March 2022, William Vic Ingram, Chairman, Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors, Clarence C. Mundy, Clerk, Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors, and approved as to form J. Vaden Hunt, Esquire, Pittsylvania County Attorney.
All right, sir, thank you. Do we need anything else on that?
That's it. I just
All
need
right.
to get Mr. Cheshire's vote.
Mr. Cheshire?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. What you got next? Good. Mr. Scarce, we gave you time to talk, and we've already voted to resort back to the 2021 reassessment, and we're going to move forward, and we'll take care of that, but we're not going to take care of it tonight. Thank you, sir. I'm sure you'll be here. All right, what we got next?
All right, the Amoresco Energy Agreement.
Okay. Mr. Hunt, did you have this written up as a motion?
It would just be a motion to approve this agreement. Just for the board's and the public's knowledge, we discussed this at the work session today that's started at 3 p.m. And what this is that through Mr. Hicks' experience and knowledge, we've reached out to an energy savings firm that we're going to enter into a contract with, and it's a no-risk situation for the county. They're going to analyze our energy needs at our county buildings, and the belief is that based on potential energy savings that they recommend, if we implement that, there will be enough savings to pay for debt service to fix the deficiencies in the Moses building related to water infiltration, lack of central air, bad windows that we discussed at February's Building and Property Committee. So this agreement just allows them to commence the assessment of our structures to potentially, and we believe quite likely, find sufficient savings to assist us with capital needs relating to the Moses Building and perhaps other structures in the county.
All right, thank you, sir. That was item 13B. What about a motion on that?
I'm
Already got one.
We approve it.
Do what now?
I move we approve the,
Thank you, sir. What about a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All right, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire, can I get your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't know what there was.
Okay, that was approved. Up next is, looks like it's going to be 13C, Healthcare LPA.
That's it.
Okay, who's got that?
I could speak on this. This was a matter discussed with the board in closed session today, and this is just an agreement. It's a local performance agreement, and it concerns a business that has agreed to relocate into the county and primarily move their extensive personal property car fleet into the county to be garaged in the county. And what that does is it anticipates that they're going to garage annually for at least a period of 7 years, $2.5 million worth of personal property, and we would give them a 50% rebate on their personal property bill. So it's an economic development deal that's good for the county and good for our coffers and good for the client. So this is just an agreement known as a local performance agreement that outlines both sides' obligations during the life of this deal.
And that's over 200 vehicles as well as some other assets.
Right.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to make that motion. Is that okay? What about a second?
Second.
Mr. Warren, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that has passed, right?
Yes, sir.
That brings us down to 13D, Rage Plastics.
So I don't speak out of school. Why don't we get Mr. Adcock up here to give a 10-cent tour about what we're doing
That
here?
would be nice. Come
Yes.
on back, Chris. 10-cent tour.
It's more like a 50,000 tour.
I got
This would be an agreement to utilize water and sewer funds to do a cost share of $20,000 with the Stanton River Plastics project to purchase a transformer to move forward with that project. At which time that we have a large water user there in that park, that $20,000 would be reimbursed back to the county from the property owner.
Okay, thank you, Chris. What about a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the funding for the transformer for Rage Plastics, or Stanton River Plastics.
Thank you, sir. What about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Any discussion? All right, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mine's really acting up. Kayla, I've got 13E as FY school budget, public notice, okay?
That's correct.
What about a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
To
What about a
advertise.
second? Okay. Any discussion? All right, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire?
Yes.
Thank you.
And item, looks like it's 13F, county budget public hearing notice. About a motion on that, gentlemen?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. What
Yes,
about a
sir.
second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just have one. I think it's important to let the citizens know that this is not the final budget. We're just setting what our tax rates will be, and we'll still be working and moving some numbers around and all with the assistance of the county staff. So we're just setting tonight the rates. We can't go over this amount once this is set tonight, but we can move some of the widgets around if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. All right. Any other discussion? Not, gentlemen, cast your vote.
Mr. Cheshire?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. Okay, that passes 7-0. And I do believe that's it. You have
That's
anything
correct.
else?
That's all of our action items.
Okay, thank you so much. All righty. Board members report. Mr. Scarson, we'll start with you, sir.
So I'd like to first thank everyone that attended the Friends of NRA banquet last month on the 24th. It was a great event. We broke another fundraising record, and it all came about because of the people that support that entity. So I thank everyone that showed up and spent a lot of money. The other thing, I want to thank our finance director, Kim Vanderhyde, and also specifically Clarence Mundy for getting us through this period. What you did notice was the tax rate was left at 62 cents per $100 of assessed value. We cannot go above that rate. And with all the challenges we've had this year with the decisions that have made through January to now, I am very happy that we've been able to get through this period without raising taxes on our citizens, and a lot of the credit, or most of the credit, goes to Kim and Clarence, so I thank them. Lastly, I want to thank Mr. Hicks. I believe this might be his last night. Richard Hicks is our Deputy County Administrator, and I can tell you his experience and what he has done for the county will be sorely missed, and I just want to thank him for all the hard work he's done over the last 4 years. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Scarce. Mr. Cheshire, do you have anything?
Not at this time, Mr. Ingram.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Barksdale.
Mr. Schuster, you were with us, and so we'll with you for prayer. And I'm glad that we have people here tonight for the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dalton.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say thanks for Tim for being able to join us in the meeting. I'm glad he's doing better. Keep up his thoughts and prayers for him and his family. Thank Mr. Hicks for his service to the county. I know his days is winding down. Also, I'd like to recognize the March 22nd, I think, is our National Ag Day. So, see a farmer, you might want to thank him. And I also want to thank all the staff that worked with the budget and getting that prepared for us.
All right, thank you,
sir.
Mr. Dalton. Thank you, sir. Mr. Warren?
Yes, sir. I'd like to echo the sentiments that have been said. Mr. Cheshire was really good news to see the post from your wife following your surgery, and everything's going well. I'm real happy for you and her both, and hope you're getting some well-needed rest, and hope you'll have a speedy recovery and the results will continue to be positive. Also like to echo the comments that was made about Richard Hicks. Outstanding job you've done the last 4 years. The county will be impacted for decades from some of the work you've done, in particular with the enterprise fund out at the landfill and some of the projects that's going on now in Hurt. And it's countless others that you've been involved in, Mr. Hicks, and it's truly, truly been a pleasure to work with you and be in your company, and just a real good band, and I appreciate your commitment to the county over the time that we were able to have you. Thank you so much. And also like to recognize the sheriff sitting in the back there. Keep up with a little bit of what's going on with your guys, and y'all been very active the last 60 days or so with a lot of unusual stuff. So I'd like to just say how much we appreciate having a sheriff like yourself and the deputies and all for everything they do in Pittsylvania County. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Dudley.
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank our staff for putting together this budget that we had. Thank you, Clarence. Appreciate your work on that. Very, very hard working. I believe you want to do what's right, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Kim, thank you. Honestly, if you'd asked me to do it, I couldn't have done it. But you guys did a remarkable job. Thank you so much. Thank you also just for all our staff in general. Vaden Hunt, thank you for keeping us out of trouble. The Board of Supervisors needs an attorney to keep them out of trouble. How about that? Kaylin, thank you. Thank IT. And folks, I want to thank you guys for showing up tonight. What a blessing. I mean, we've got 60-some thousand citizens in the county, and just look around and we see consistency in a lot of you folks showing up. And I just want to thank you, taking your time. You didn't have to do it tonight, to come out and just be with us. And I appreciate that. Especially want to thank Chuck Angier. He's here for all of our work session, everything but closed session. I want to thank him and his wife. They're very active. Appreciate them so much. Also want to thank good friend of mine. He is on the Planning Commission, Mr. Richard Waters in the very back. He is the Chatham representative for the Planning Commission. Does a great job. And Richard Hicks, I appreciate you with the job that you do. I think you do a wonderful, wonderful job. I see true leadership in everything that you do, and I admire it, and I appreciate it. And I've only been on the board 2 years, 3 months, but wow, the direction this guy's got is amazing, and we're going to miss you. And I appreciate you as a friend, just a good, straight along, honest person, and I like him. And I ain't gonna say I love him, but I'm just gonna say I like him, you know what I'm saying? But I appreciate you so much, everything that you do. I'm just so impressed, and there'll be a void, but you know, we'll move on. And but thanks again. I think it was wonderful tonight to hear Tim Chester's voice. How about that? And to know that it could have been something different, but he's still here with us. And most of all, I want to thank you, Lord, that we have a privilege to go to him in prayer every day. And it took prayers through our Lord to get Tim where he's at. So I just want to thank our precious Lord that we got somebody that we can go to. He is our advocate. And I'm so thankful for that tonight. And I'm going to shut up. How about that? Thank you, Mr. Ingham, for your time.
Thank you, sir. I do want to apologize. These computers, it was like trying to give a cat a bath, and it's still jumping all over the place, but we'll get that fixed. But I do want to echo several things that's already been said. It's such a blessing to see citizens come out, whether they have good things to say or bad things to say. That's the beauty of this country. Within proper guidelines, say what you want, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So again, thank y'all for coming out. Again, I talked to Tim last night for a pretty good while, and that's the first time I've talked to him in months. He wasn't winded, so surgery went well. He's got quite a bit of healing to go through, but thankfully he's on that road. A dear friend, Scott Eanes, retired from the Danville Police Department, a lifetime member of the Danville Life Saving Crew, member of the Blair's Fire Department, had a heart attack Saturday night. They couldn't fix it with a balloon or stent, so he's in open heart surgery right now, so I'd love for you to remember Scott Eanes in your thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Is some good stuff here. Not saying prayer isn't, but Bridge to Bridge, that is a fundraiser that was put together years ago by Karen Johnston. It owns Karen's Hallmark in the mall. And being on the Danville Pittsylvania Cancer Board, with her, I've had such a pleasure working with her on this event, Bridge to Bridge. And if you have anyone that's suffered with cancer, or maybe you've lost them due to cancer, this is a great way to do something in their honor. It's a combination walk, run, ride bicycles, and that'll be April the 9th. Saturday night, Debbie and my wife Debbie and I, we had the honor of attending God's Pit Crew banquet, and I hate to say it was the first time I'd been to one, but I have to say that Randy and Terry Johnson and their entire crew put together one absolutely beautiful program, very inspirational, and what they do is just beyond words. So remember God's Pit Crew. This coming Thursday at Advanced Auto Parts, 58 East, at 11:30, is going to be Peyton Sellers Day. We've already recognized Peyton for his accomplishments last year of winning the national championship and winning track championships at South Boston and Dominion Speedway. But I think the city followed suit, and so they're going to have a Peyton Sellers Day, and we'd love for everybody to come out if at all possible. And that is this Thursday, 11:30. Again, the phenomenal work that you, Mr. Mundy, and Kim, that you did on this budget is beyond description. When they say that we're over and they use millions of dollars and then they're able to balance this budget without a tax increase, that's just remarkable, and I appreciate all the work that you guys put into that. Likewise, Mr. Hicks, bid you farewell. Thank you for your service. And so having said that, let's adjourn this meeting.
County Administrator and Vaden.
Whoa, yeah, Clarence, I'm sorry, what you got?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, if I may, Mr. Cheshire, it is great to hear your voice this evening. Certainly shows that prayers are answered often. We're glad to have you with us. And I'd like to bring to the public's attention the amount of time that this board puts in. You don't know how much the staff and I appreciate the input and the guidance that we got from you on the budget process. That makes our job much easier to know what you're thinking and what your priorities are. I like what I saw from the board here this evening. I think you showed exemplary leadership. We had a very robust agenda, and you endured and helped us get through it. And lastly, but not least, Mr. Hicks, thank you for the work that you've done for Pittsylvania County. He will leave a void in our organization. He's done a phenomenal job, and your leadership, Richard, will be missed, but we still got you for 3 more days. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hunt?
Yes, I normally don't talk because everybody wants to go home when it gets to me, but Richard, I'd be remiss if I didn't say a couple words about Richard. My office literally has a door that leads into Richard's office, and I'm sure he gets tired of it, but countless times per day I scream his name and he comes in to my office. He's a friend, a sounding board, a mentor, a lunch companion, and I've been doing this type of work for 19 years, and I'll tell you, of all my coworkers, this one stings just about the worst. And he left this county a much better place than when he found it. You just need to take a tour of our landfill to understand how far we've come. Up until he came here, we did not monetize our landfill, which is one of our greatest assets. We had literally equipment with trees growing through it. It is now a lean, mean fighting machine, and that's a credit to his professionalism, his intelligence, and his dedication. I hope he won't be a stranger. I hope he lives long enough to drink all those bourbon that he's hoarded. And I hope that he has many ski trips in his future, and he will be truly missed.
Yes, he will.
Well said, sir. Thank you. Well, with that, we adjourn.